Alright guys, let's talk a little bit about the Yamaha Bolt. I want to give you guys some information on why I believe this is a good beginner motorcycle, and a couple of things that I don't like about it. It's not that I don't like about it, that it's kind of not the greatest. So the first thing that I believe will make this a good motorcycle is how much power it has for you to ride on the freeway, but also that the power is forgiving enough for you to ride comfortably through the cities and to begin with, because it is a 900cc and it sounds intimidating, sounds like a lot of power, but it is, I feel like it is just enough. It's enough power for you to ride comfortably on the freeway, but it's not too bad when you're trying to learn clutch control and all of that stuff. So if you're taking off, it will not be super jerky and throw you off the bike. It's not gonna pop a wheelie. I'm sure you could pop a wheelie on this motorcycle, but you really have to try. The other thing that I believe makes this a good beginner motorcycle is the height. It is a short bike because it is a cruiser, and it's considered a pretty small cruiser. There are smaller ones like 300 and 500 cc's from Honda, but I believe those might not be as good as this one because they might not have as much power as this has. So this will last longer than those. You're not going to get bored of this as fast as you would from a 300cc. So gives you good freeway power. It is a comfortable ride. So those are the two main things that I believe would make this a good beginner motorcycle. I've had a Yamaha R3 before. It was a good beginner motorcycle. I mean, the power on it is manageable for a beginner, but I live in the Bay Area and it is super windy here, so I did not feel safe because most of the times it felt like the wind was gonna throw me off the bike. So even if you plan on riding a sport, like a super sport or a naked bike, I would go for something like this first. Learn the gears, learn the basics, and then you get a bigger one, like a bigger sports bike that you would not feel like the wind is throwing you off the motorcycle, unless you don't live in a windy area, so that will be different. Then you could start on a 300 just fine, and those are great bikes. Thank you. And as you can see, you can actually lane split with this motorcycle. I'll say it's not as easy as the R3, but it is possible. Like, I'm not a super experienced person go lane splitting all crazy, so I went pretty slow and where I could see that it felt safe. Alright, a couple of things that I don't like about this bike. The seat is not very comfortable, so if you're buying this bike, I would say buy another seat if you plan on keeping it for a while. The bike has enough power for you to be able to keep it for a while. The other thing that I would say that I don't like, it's not that I don't really, well, it's not that I don't like, it's just that the bike is heavy and I'm a small person, so the bike is over 500 pounds and I'm only 5'6". I'm like 140 pounds, so moving this bike around is not the easiest thing, but it's not something that it's the end of the world. As I said, you can flat foot this bike, so being able to move it around, it is actually easier than moving around my R3. Also, the weight makes it so that the bike feels safer when you're riding on the freeway and when it's windy. The other thing that I would say that I don't like is that it only has 5 gears. That kind of sucks. Not gonna lie. What I was talking about, the 5th gear, is that if you're doing like 75, 80 on the freeway, the bike still has enough power for you to pass people. The problem is that if you're doing 80 miles per hour, the bike kind of rattles a lot. Like you get home and you feel your arm like kind of, you feel a little shakiness on your arm when you get home. But that's pretty much it. I think the positives outweigh the bad. The motorcycle is an excellent beginner bike. I think this bike is just, if I knew what I know before, when I first bought my R3, if I knew about this bike and I knew that it would actually not feel that bad or as intimidating, I would probably have started on this bike instead of the R3. The only reason that I started on the R3 was because I thought, oh, you know, a 900cc bike, it sounds pretty big and super scary. And when I first sat on this bike, it did feel scary. It felt like it was huge. Now I got used to the size of it, so it doesn't feel that bad. But the first time I rode on it was on a parking lot, and I just rode super slow. And then I rode it like that one day, and then the next day I took it on the little inside roads at super slow speeds. So after I took it on about 3 rides, I was like, oh, this is actually not that bad. It's manageable. So you get used to the weight pretty quick, and it makes it an excellent beginner motorcycle. So that's it, guys. If you guys like the video, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. Peace.